you go look up the stats that are posted after every Blake Snell outing. It's just like, what? I think someone said in like Snell's last 22 outings, or I don't think it was 22 innings. It was 22 outings. He has like 18 runs allowed, like something absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, this guy, he is deserving of the Cy Young. He should win the Cy Young. Kevin Acee in his Padres Daily newsletter earlier today, he put out this was compiled, I think, from MLB.com and Baseball Reference. Put out this chart comparing Blake Snell to other top National League starting pitchers. And when I look at this, I see, okay, maybe someone like Spencer Strider has a case. Maybe. I mean, because Justin Steele, when you look at the numbers, worse ERA, less innings, less strikeouts, a little bit better whip, but not by much, 0.06. Batters are hitting better off of Justin Steele than Blake Snell. Like, he's not close to Snell. Kodai Senga, no, ERA isn't close. Innings aren't there. Strikeouts aren't there. The whip's worse. Average is worse. Like, what I mean by that is average opponents are hitting better off of Kodai Senga than Blake Snell. Opponents are hitting 181 off of Blake Snell. His whip is 120, 227 strikeouts on the year, 174 innings, 2.33 ERA, 31 games started. You go to Logan Webb, the ERA is like a full run worse, so you can just throw him out. You go to Merrill Kelly, same thing. Corbin Burns, even worse. Snell's ERA 2.33. Corbin Burns is at 3.56. And I'm not saying ERA is everything, but then he doesn't have the strikeouts. He doesn't have the innings as Snell does. The whip is better, but obviously the whip's going to be a better when you compare a lot of these guys to Blake, because Blake walks guys. You go to Zach Gallen, and the starts are there, but the ERA is definitely not there, 3.60. The strikeouts aren't there, over 200, but that's not close really to Blake Snell at 227. The whip's comparable to Snell, but the average is not, the opponent's average. But you go to Spencer Strider, who is at the bottom here, and I think that's Blake Snell's closest competition, actually, considering that he's on a really good team in the Atlanta Braves. He has almost the same amount of starts, 30 starts. Snell has 31. His ERA, yeah, over a full run worse. But the innings are right there. 176 for Strider, 174 for Snell, 270 punch outs for Strider, 227 for Snell. So he's obviously leading everyone in strikeouts. Strider is. I mean, it's ridiculous. His K per nine is like 13 point something. It's absolutely nuts. The whip is better than Blake Snell, but again, walks. And then opponents are hitting 205 off of him. 181 opponents are hitting off of Snell. So I look at Strider there as like, that's probably who I would go as like second place. But ERA, I mean, it definitely means something. And when you have that low of an ERA compared to all of those other guys and your whip is not as good as those guys, that tells me how, like, that helps your case, I think, of winning the NL Cy Young if you're Blake Snell, because that shows that, okay, I can get out of jams. I can dominate still with allowing base runners. Those base runners don't faze me. Sure, I'll walk you. He was talking about on the broadcast today with Don and Mudd about how the stolen bases aren't that big of a deal for him. Whatever. Like, the dude just gets out of it. He's confident right now in his stuff, in his ability. And sometimes he admits, like, sometimes walks are good things because, yeah, it's another base runner, but you didn't leave a pitch down the middle of the plate to a power hitter that could have hit that ball over the fence, right? Like, little things like that. Didn't hit that ball in the gap. He's only on first base. Now I can get a double play. I can get out of an inning. I'm confident that I can strand that guy. That's Blake Snell's mentality. So, yeah, Blake right now, he is the front runner for the Cy Young, and he's still going to keep pitching this year. I think he has at least one more start. I think he has a couple more starts left this season, but he's already won the award for me. Unless he gives up like 6 runs in his next 2 outings, 6 runs his next outing, 6 runs the next. And I think he's going to be facing the Giants and probably the White Sox that last weekend of the season. Those should go pretty well for Blake, I would assume. But the outings, his recent outings, I mean, he went to Houston, gives up like 2 runs, quality start, I believe. Instead of passing on the Dodgers and just going and facing the A's, which he could have probably had a no-hitter, like he did here against the Rockies. Maybe Brent Rooker would have got him because Rooker's a former Padre. That's just how it goes. But instead of skipping the Dodgers, he goes into Dodger Stadium and gives up, I think, one hit in that outing, dominates them. So he stood up to the competition. Like, no, I'm not afraid of this. Not afraid of base runners. Not afraid of facing the Astros, facing the Dodgers on the road. And he pitches well against them. And then he comes back home. What's his last home start as a Padre, at least this season? And I think it's probably going to be his last start as a Padre at home. He comes into here, and I get it's the Rockies, but then doesn't give up any hits.